Ringside Fest 2017. We're packed up. We're ready to roll. And I finally cornered Bill Miekina, my old pal. Bill, how you doing, man? How was Ringside Fest?
Well, good to see you again.
You too, man. You too, man. You know I love hanging out with you. What do you got in your hand there?
I have the new Ringside exclusive, Shawn Michaels, the first 2018 exclusive for Ringside Collectibles. We debuted it at the show today. So this is the front. It includes a brand new sculpted for the entrance vest, and here's the back. And this should be available soon from proud sponsors of Ringside Fest, WrestlingPigs.com.
We saw a bunch of new stuff today, like all kinds of things. My favorite was actually the Elite AJ Styles in the blue. I'm not sure. Do you know which line that one was in?
I believe that's 56.
That one is like, guys, like aside from the images and stuff that you see, it looks 1,000 times better in person even. So just like totally, that's one of the best AJ Styles we've seen so far.
I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that. I know we showed an Ember Moon figure that's gotten a lot of positive feedback. And also, a lot of people agree with me that it's about time we had the shark in the Mattel WWE line.
Shark is my spirit animal, but I'm not sure if that shark is my spirit animal, but I'm excited that he's here nonetheless.
I may be more excited than you.
Yeah, I think you are, but that's good. We can all be excited about it. We get a character like the shark on the line. That's exciting stuff. Is there anything else that kind of excites you about the line in 2018?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of cool new segmentation going on with our customized programs that we showed a lot today. We have a lot of fun exclusives and also some great stuff in the main line. I know the Miz and Maurice as John Cena and Nikki Bella 2-pack also got a lot of positive feedback, and that's another one where I personally didn't work on it, but I'm jealous that I didn't. I'm jealous of the person that did it because it's such a great idea, and the execution is just so perfect. So.
It's exciting, right? Because people saw that line, and they're like, oh, we just got Miz and Maurice, but that just shows that literally anything can happen because that's just a super specific look that otherwise nobody would have known about.
Yeah, and it's one of those, it's like, it was on TV, it made an impact, and like it's like one of the things you wouldn't think we would do a figure, but when you see it, it's like, I want that immediately. So
that was good. So another thing that we saw at Ringside Fest today, we saw the first WCW belt, which I know over the years, like that's been just a constant question, like will we ever get that? And it's always been a rights issue. I think it seems like that's been cleared up, right?
You know, when we put it in for sculpt submission this time, it was approved by WWE, so off to the races, yeah.
Awesome. So can we see other WCW belts in the future now at this point, do you think?
It's looking a lot more likely than it did in the past, so the possibility is much higher going forward that we'd be able to use some of those belts.
Awesome. So a question that is kind of fresh in everyone's mind, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but do you know why sometimes in the basic series we move down to only 5 characters, and then other times like the basic line might have a bigger number, like maybe 7 or 8?
Yeah, it's because we're putting out more waves per year, so we're putting out 5 per wave, but we're going to be putting out more waves, so try to get the stuff in and out of stores quicker so waves don't back up on shelves. So you get your 5 characters, they sell down. You don't have that one that's just sort of like straggling and building up on the pegs and backing up, and then your orders get backed up. It's like get 5 strong ones in, sell them through, boom, move on to 5 new strong characters.
Remember that for next year when you're writing the questions down on the boards and you're looking for things to ask. We answered this one, all right? So out of all the new figures you've seen today, you know we saw, maybe besides the shark, what was your personal favorite? Unless it is the shark, then you can say that.
Shark is definitely up there with one of the favorites. Stuff that I worked on. I really think the club, Gallows and Anderson, the Elites in 56 turned out very well. I like the Elite Maurice that we showed. I think that one also turned out spectacular. And the Bobby the Brain Heenan, even though I wanted the Weasel suit to win, the figure that we showed today I think looks really good and it sort of respects the memory of Bobby Heenan. I think we all miss.
Definitely, there's a lot of new classics coming. I would say there's a lot of must-haves we saw today. So we also got to look at, and recently this was announced. There's a belt, an exclusive belt pack, a Mattel WWE belt pack, being released by Ringside Collectibles that features some of those like one-off belts that have either been in exclusives or just like kind of harder to find.
More rare belts that are no longer sort of commonly available with the figures.
Exactly. So we've seen like the Hardcore Championship, the Edge Rated R title, and the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Championships, I believe, are in there, and then the spray painted NWO. Any other belt packs possible in the future?
It's always possible, as everything depends on how well stuff sells. So if this pack sells well, and Ringside wants to order another one, we'll do it. And if it doesn't, maybe we won't, but we'll see.
So keep that in mind, if you want to see belts in the future, and we just got to keep that going and make sure you pick them up for yourself. They're vaxxed, right? The vac seal.
The hardcore one is not vac metallized because if we did that, it would actually be less accurate because that belt was filthy. So we kept it to make it. We tried to when we produced it, we produced it in a way that would make it look as filthy and dirty and gross as possible.
But the others are, and it's likely that like if we do a belt pack, that they could have the vac on them.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you ever see something on TV and know immediately when you're watching like Raw or SmackDown or even a pay-per-view that's going to be a figure?
Yeah, all the time. Some of the stuff recently that just released was the Alexa Bliss from Elite 53. The minute she came out with that outfit, I'm like, oh, that's an Elite Alexa. We're definitely doing that. Trying to think, like, a lot of times, Finn Balor, obviously, a lot of his paints, the body paint and the outfits, there's some that, like, the way it is, we end up making most of them anyway, but there's some that when you come out, it's like, okay, we need to get that in the line, like, right now. Or when someone, like, of a big name debuts on TV, it's like, we got to get that, we got to get working on that. Hardy's coming back at WrestleMania. It's like, we got to get to work on that immediately. We flew out the next week to Uniondale, Long Island at the Superstar Shakeup, got their scans done, and now we have, I have the first samples from the show ready at the show now. So when stuff like that happens, we work fast.
We saw a lot of Hardys today, actually. We saw the WrestleMania pack. What else did we see?
There is a 2-pack that's going to be a WWE shop exclusive. It's sort of like from the vault of figures that we would have released back in 2010 if if things would have worked out differently. So, and then we also have the Entrance Greats Jeff Hardy, which is not the same as Elite One Jeff Hardy, but it's very similar. There's been some upgrades, some updates to it that it is a distinct figure in its own right. It's actually much better. So
awesome.
And it plays music. So
does it? Is it Jeff Hardy's theme song or the Hardy Boys?
Words. Okay. Which was his song at the time that we first got the license. So
awesome. Any plans for a new entrance stage set of any kind?
Yeah, we're working on something. It's a little too early to reveal, but we are working on something.
Okay. So we saw Goldberg attached to the WWE main event Elite Scale ring this year. Mm-hmm. The Raw main event Elite Scale ring. Yes. Is there a chance we see Goldberg in the line, either basic or Elite, in 2018?
Not at the present. We're kind of focusing everything on that ring, trying to sell that ring. So I know this is not the popular answer, but it is the real answer. So
okay. So for now, if we're looking for Goldberg, we stick to the main event ring.
Yes.
Any word on when the retro ring is going to be released?
I don't know off the top of my head when that's being released. I don't know what the schedule is. I honestly just don't know. So
well, we'll find out.
2018 is
Q1 through 4, 2018, sometime. So when do you think we're going to see the SmackDown Women's title belt?
It's with the next Walgreens figure, the Becky Lynch, that should be shipping soon. Now that the Sasha Banks is in stores and selling down, the Becky Lynch will be replenishing it toward the end of the year. So.
Okay, got it. People have kind of noticed that there seem to be some less flashbacks coming out in the Elite line. Is there a reason why?
If you saw it today, you would realize that answer is false. We're just moving them to some of the customized segments to use to make them a little bit more distinct from our mainline office.
So when you say customized segments, you're talking about like entrance grades?
No, like the exclusives, Ringside exclusives, Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, like all like the major, our biggest accounts, we give them customized, and a lot of them this year wanted flashbacks. So it's like, hey, let's keep our mainline releases sort of like 2017, and all these requests for for retro and flashback talent. Let's just use that for the customized segments.
Awesome. Any thought on any lines that are continuing in 2018 and any that are ending?
There's gonna be some tweaks. You'll notice at the beginning of the year when they launch. I showed the figures today, but I didn't necessarily say what the lines are. But you'll notice it right away. Packaging execution is gonna be different, but it's gonna be it's gonna be similar to some of the stuff that's already come out. But it's every account is gonna have their different take on it.
Awesome. So now that the retros, which are obviously extremely popular, people are loving them. They're just like kind of flying out with Ringside, flying off our proverbial internet shelves. Yeah. Is there a chance that we could get any 2-pack tag teams?
There's a real strong possibility of getting tag teams. 2-packs, probably not as much as an execution, but there will be tag teams, talent in retros, definitely.
For example, like Sheamus and Cesaro, or like even a team like
like a New Day or an Usos, or even like Enzo and Cass, because when they were developed, they would have been a team. It's like they'll come out, they just probably won't come out, as a 2-pack on one card.
Okay. So we saw the UK exclusive Tyler Bate this year, which obviously everybody in the UK was very excited. Everybody in the States was very excited, and worldwide. So will the UK be getting more exclusives like that, or was that just a one and done? Obviously, that's the first time we've seen such a thing in the line. So
It kind of depends on sales. It just officially goes on sale at the beginning of next year. I think it might have already shipped to some places already, but if it sells strong enough, there are other WWE talents from the UK who are under merchandise deals. So let's hope we get to them. I know a lot of people, are anxious for a Pete Dunne figure. I also am a fan, so we'll see what happens.
awesome. So in the basic line, we've seen the Chase figures with the belts. We've seen them with the Slammies as well. What's next?
I don't know if I can reveal, but we'll be continuing next year.
There is something. There is some sort of
continuing chase mechanism at the beginning of 2018 for our basic figures.
So a lot of people have referenced the new Elite Undertaker coming out, about how it's kind of a repaint of Elite 18, which we may be arguable. But that having been said, how come we're getting that instead of maybe a denim taker with the longer hair?
Because it was a late talent change where I didn't have time to sculpt something new, and I needed a big name to replace what changed. And I knew we hadn't done an Undertaker in a while. That wave always comes out on WrestleMania. It's always smart to have an Elite Undertaker coming out on WrestleMania. We hadn't done an American Badass Undertaker Elite in a while. We can change the deco. So for people that already have the original, they can buy this one. If you've never had an Elite American Badass, now this is your first. We try to satisfy both customers that would want that. So, and then, and next time we do an Elite American Badass, it probably will have the long hair. But it's just the schedule I had with the late replacement. We had to move quick and just didn't allow time for tooling.
So it's good to kind of insert that in there for those fans that maybe never got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you look and see like what's going for a lot of money on the secondary market, and you're like, we have the tooling on this. There's obviously a demand, and then when you get in a pinch like we did, just hey, this is something that people want. A slight change, and we can satisfy a whole new bunch of people.
Definitely, it's kind of like a little bit of a no-brainer. So that's good, and I'm sure those people appreciate you, small brainer, and those people I'm sure appreciate getting a chance to get their hands on that. Mm-hmm. Any chance the basic arms, which have had a little bit of tooling changes, I believe, can be changed back to what they were?
No.
Never. No.
You never say never, but there's no plans to do it, and I don't foresee plans that changing. So.
Got it. How long does a typical figure deal contract run, if you can say?
I don't know. We don't sign figure deals. The WWE signs them now to Legends and merchandising deals, and I don't know. You'd probably have to ask one of their legal department. Like, I just get a list of who I'm able to use and who I'm not, and then sometimes you'll look and you'll see names that are like, whoa, that they were on there before, or like, oh, that person's on there now, or that person's not on there anymore. So
you're just basically given a list, and you check out the list.
And I give them lists of people that I want to do. Last year, D'Lo Brown, Tatanka, Ken Shamrock, those were people that, in the years past, I would submit as like, these are talent that I want to make figures of. I think that'll work well in our line, and they would, sign them to individual deals. But like, we don't negotiate anything in those deals. That's between WWE and the talent. So
there you have it. We're kind of just in the same boat as Bill and finding out when that
ride. And then, if it turns out I shows up on my list one day, I can do like, someone I really want to do, and it's like, whoa, this is awesome. I get to finally work on this, or I can put this guy back in the line. They were in there like at the start, now they're not anymore. But it's all kind of determined by WWE.
Got it. So Jinder Mahal has had like a career year basically at this point. We're looking at the possibility of an Elite Jinder Mahal this year, maybe with a WWE Championship.
Yeah, I think you can count on that this year.
Okay. Where is not my, but someone's? I'm assuming on wrestling things, Elite Bastion Booger. I think that's popular demand, obviously.
Well, I don't. His name has not shown up on one of those merchandise lists, so
there we go.
My hands are tied on that one. I'd love to work on a Bastion Booger. Be an interesting chest tooling, but we'll see.
So get your handwritten letters out, send them all to Titan Towers. Just write down, we want a Bastion Booger figure, and if you just bombard them with that, I hear that works.
Yeah, if we make Shark, we'll make anyone, but he's got to be under a deal. So.
So somebody was wondering why the Elite Demon Finn Balors have the smaller cruiserweight bodies aside from the network exclusive, while Finn figures without the paint have the ripped torso. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I've answered this before. Actually, it's to make it easier to deco, because when you have like that much of the torso covered, it's easier to deco a smoother surface than to deco like our most ripped one, which has a lot of crevices and crags and valleys, where the tampo pad will miss. And so you have to go in and do more operations. You have to add like 3 or 4 like touch-up operations to do that. So it's a trade-off, but it's one like I don't apologize for doing, because I don't want to spend, you know, tampo and deco money tooling touch-ups, which means it might cost me like real deco on a figure elsewhere in the line, or on Finn. I have to like cut deco on the back to fill in the tampo on the front that was missed by the original pad.
Right. You won't necessarily be able to capture like his essence as well in that case.
Yeah, I want to make, you know, it's a little bit off. I know Finn is ripped to shreds, and if you're really
Finn's ripped to shreds, really? Yeah,
he's got better abs than I do. But that's
that makes 2 of us, buddy.
not saying much.
So, any chance we might get a OWN or One Warrior Nation Ultimate Warrior, or an Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 12? Is that the match with Triple H? Am I getting okay? Good.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, obviously we do a lot of Warriors. He's very popular. He sells, as you know, when he's not overshipped, he sells very, very well. When he's overshipped in record amounts, he doesn't sell as well. But when we ship the proper amount, they sell out all the time. So yeah, we'll continue to like explore as many Ultimate Warrior possibilities.
So something like the One Warrior Nation is like, it's a little more obscure, obviously, and it's like kind of from a run that not as many people are familiar with, but it's still possible, you'd say?
Yeah, I mean, something like that works really well for like a customized offering where like the risk is a little bit not as widespread. I mean, but I
something like retail, basically.
Yeah, like I wouldn't at this point, after what happened with the defining moments Ultimate Warrior, he probably wouldn't be a defining moment, but we'd use him as like a top character in a customized offering. So.
Okay, cool. That answers the Warrior question. Do you think we'll get an updated Elite version of Breezango, which is both Tyler Breeze and Fandango together, in Fashion Police attire?
Hey, you know, if they keep staying on TV and putting segments that people enjoy, there's no reason not to put them back in the line as the Fashion Police.
Got it. So we saw Corey Graves this year in the series line. There's other names like him, obviously. Any chance for current non-wrestling talent like him, maybe another of him, or Byron Saxton, any of the commentators? Or?
I don't know 100% on the basic and 2-packs plans, so there might be. I know in Elite lines we showed off the Howard Finkel today, where there's a segment through Walmart where you can buy the 4 figures and then get the parts to collect some of the non-wrestling characters from back in the day, like Howard Finkel. And then there's the next one coming up, I think is going to blow your mind. I saw the first sample I saw the photo of the first sample like the day I flew out here. So it just missed the show. And I think if it would have made the show, like people's minds would have been like, you know, like, I can't believe they actually did this. This is so freaking cool.
That's good. So we got something to look forward to.
Similar to a Wendy Richter, where they have never had any action figure from any company.
So that'd be a first. That'd be awesome. Great. That's good news. That gives us something to look forward to between now and next year's Ringside Fest. So I'm sure we'll be hearing about that eventually.
Hopefully we'll be in stores before next year's Ringside Fest.
Okay. Agreed.
In stores before next year's Ringside Fest. Something went terribly, terribly wrong. So let's hope we see it way before next year's Ringside Fest.
Somebody asked why battle packs don't come with accessories anymore. Is that
because retailers wanted them at $20? Okay. And you know.
That doesn't count something like tooling, like the Miz and Maurice pack. That had like the hat and stuff like that, right? Wouldn't that count as an accessory? Or am I?
It's something like that. It's like if it's a like we're not. It's mostly about the space. Okay. Like, because if you don't have an accessory, you can like compact them in the actual package and get more in a shipping container. Like we're charged, you know, when we ship them, we're charged per container. So the more you can get physically get in a container, the more you can diffuse your cost per unit. So it makes sense, you know, from a financial standpoint, to get as many items in the container as possible. So when you have accessories, you know, that cause a package to go from like this to this, it just becomes more expensive to ship this than this.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Any chance that we could see some classic cruiserweights? I know we've seen Jamie Noble, I think, part of J&J Security in the line before, but a name like him, a name like a Billy Kidman, you know, Tajiri, maybe somebody along those lines.
Tajiri, I don't think so. I think he's no longer under a WWE deal, so I think that one's a no-go for now. I was kind of hoping because of the whole Cruiserweight tournament last year that we could get a shot at Tajiri, but you know, it looks like it didn't work out, which is kind of, you know, it's a little bit of a bummer, yeah. And then it's sometimes with the people that work at the Performance Center, like some of them are under deals and some of them aren't. and sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly like if you can do them or not. So someone like Billy Kidman, who I believe still works there, I don't know if I have his rights. I guess if I put him under a talent submission, and if it gets a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I'll find out.
Okay. Somebody's looking for a bigger torso on AJ Styles. What do you have to say about that?
Probably not for right now.
Okay. Updated Drew McIntyre, who's obviously had his kind of resurgence in NXT since coming back.
That is a probable yes. He'll probably be in the line at some point in 2018.
Okay. How about an updated Alicia Fox?
It's a lot more likely now than it was even a week ago, so we'll see.
Okay. And then an updated Shield 3-pack, possible? Similar to maybe like the New Day 3-pack, or?
Again, yeah, that's something that's, a month ago probably no, and then, within the last 30 days, yeah, we'll see, if Elite multi-packs, which we started this year, if those take off, the Shield would be a cool one, so we'll see.
Absolutely. So we spoke about Jinder Mahal before. How about the Singh brothers?
Probably Jinder first.
Okay. That works. James Ellsworth. People are wondering why his legs are so long and big, which I personally didn't notice, but I guess maybe that's
I think I answered this on the forums. It was just the wrong parts were used, and I caught it right as production began. So there's going to be about 2,000 with the long legs, and then the rest will be at the corrected height. So if you get the tall one and you're mad, at least you can take solace in that it's rare. So
true. Only 2,000 pieces at that point, right?
I will confirm that just this week, just to make sure, because sometimes we ask for running changes, and then they implement like the last 500 on the belt. So it's like I want to make sure, like this time, it is only 2,000, right? And they're like, yeah, they double confirmed it. So.
And he does also, to that point, he has a new torso mold, right?
He's got a lot of new parts. Like everything above the waist is new. So there was a lot of new tooling. I even did like 2 fists, so you can do his like even a man with 2 fists has a chance. And
so that's awesome. So we made the long legs is one thing, but we've definitely gotten some new parts out of that, and it's always good to see new tooling
with an existing torso. I mean, physically he looks so different from everyone else on the roster, which is great. I love the fact that we can do someone like that who's like the last person you ever expect to see a WWE action figure. Was when you line them up on the shelf, you have like people like Braun Strowman, who's like looks like a colossus, like a human colossus, like a Frankenstein, like the monsters version we did, and then you have James Ellsworth, who looks like like more like a regular human being than anyone in the line.
Awesome. Well, that's it's good to kind of keep it rolling like that and give you some options as you move on.
Yeah, you want to have variety. If everyone just looks like a bodybuilder, the line is a little bit boring when you have a little bit of variety in shapes, and even like having the female and the women figures in there as well. So like the more variety in the line, I think the better it is. So.
Sure. Okay. So we've seen Curt Hawkins on Monday Night Raw. He's got an incredible streak going, just like unprecedented. Will we see a figure of him soon, possibly maybe an Elite this time, because we didn't see that last time?
I hope so. I hope I hope he gets some more TV time, because I really want to get him in the line this year. But
he's got some great looking gear right now.
Yeah,
he seems like an easy option.
Yeah, I would like to get him in the line this year. So let's hope that his losing streak continues in a perverse way, because the longer it goes, the more likely he is to be on TV, which is the more likely he is to get a figure. So
that works. You hear that, Curt Hawkins?
0 in 365 days for 2018, so that I can get him in the line.
So you and I were actually having a conversation about this a little bit earlier. The face printing we'll call it face printing for now, on the Usos looks amazing. It's just like kind of a next level. It's a new step, and it's like people are just kind of wowed by it. Is that going to become the norm for Elites overall?
The plan is to eventually get every figure, period, with that process. It was rolled out a little early on the Usos because I ran into a situation where the first factory samples, sometimes you get a first factory sample on something like the Hardys multi-pack we showed today, like the return, and like the tampo on the faces on both of them is like, is close to maybe, I hate to say it's perfect, but as close to production ready as possible. And it's like, we don't need to change this so that we could ship this as is, and it's fine. The first tampo samples I got on the Usos were just not up to standard at all, and they did not look anything like them. And so it's like, we got to work on this. And I know we were thinking about, this new process. We're exploring it as we've used it before, but it's like, hey, can we try this with these? And then when I saw the difference between the two of them, it's like, holy, wow, this is amazing. So let's, this is definitely something we are pursuing very heavily in 2018. It's going to be hopefully by the end of the year, like every one of our figures will have that face process. But it's also a matter of just like ramping up facilities to be able to do that. They have to buy the machines to print the faces. You have to get the artists to that do the work, because that's work done by hand that's later applied to the figure. So they don't just take a photo and then just like put it on a machine and then that's applied to a figure. There's a person that has to actually copy the facial features of from the front of the face, and also the facial hair, as opposed to just like doing a solid color. They'll go in and they'll draw like dots and stipples to create beards, and it's like that's time consuming. So it's a process that we're ramping up right now, because when you see results like that, and there was one internal, there was a Wonder Woman one internally at Mattel that was a comparison between a Tampo and this process, and the regular one looked like a woman, and then the process on this one looked exactly like Gal Gadot, and it's like, well, yeah, this is something we definitely want to make sure that this, considering everything we do is based off of real life, we want our figures to look as close to the real life superstars as possible. So yeah, it is definitely something that we are going to continue to develop and implement in 2018.
And it for sure speaks to the process, and it looks great. So and it takes a lot of talent from all you guys. It's toasty in here, man. It's toasty.
I sweat a lot to begin with.
I've been like, yeah, me too. And I've just been like, it's a good thing we can't see my back on camera.
Yeah. Maybe at the end of the video we'll turn around and show the back. And just
let's not do that. Maybe we will. All right. Maybe. So we saw Finn Balor kill it at SummerSlam 2017. Obviously, he had a really distinct look there. We saw his Universal Championship win get immortalized in a SummerSlam Elite Series. Will we see the same for his outfit this most recent SummerSlam?
At some point, I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know exactly what our Finn schedule is right now, but yeah, it's Finn Balor and Demon Paint, and they sell. Like, why would we not do it?
Of course. Makes sense. That's Finn Balor for you. We've seen the Raw main event real scale ring with Goldberg this year. Is there a chance we see a SmackDown main event real scale ring Elite scale with maybe some other figure?
It's possible. If the Raw one does well, of course we'll do a SmackDown one. We like to make money. So
there you go. Get the Raw one, and then the SmackDown one will follow shortly after. Why are so many basic 2-packs and Elites coming out around the same time?
In terms of, we like to put out a lot of product and a variety for consumers to buy. So if you're in a store and you don't see the figure you want, maybe you see a basic version of it or an Elite version. So it's to try to get as much variety as possible, really. And I think based off of what we showed today, there was a lot of variety on the display today.
I think that's one of those like, ow, my wallet people. So I get that. I understood. So the answer is so we can just give you as much as you possibly can get.
Yeah, we are a corporation. We like to make money, but we also want to make sure that again, if you're spending money on a product, it should be a good product. So we're holding up that end of the bargain.
Awesome. In the defining moments line last year, I know we saw the Great American Bash, American Sting, and that was an Elite figure, of course. Is it possible that we see another Surfer Sting maybe in 2018 in the Elite line?
As of now, no. But that could change, or it could not change. But I know that there is a certain Elite Sting I want to do, Surfer Sting. So chances are, if you don't see it, in 2018, 2019, be on the lookout.
Just be patient. That's all. We'll get there. We got so much stuff to do.
So much stuff for people to buy. Just based off the first few months today that we showed, that like hopefully you can don't spend all your money, or maybe I don't know.
Spend all your money now. I'd buy that for $1. Bill, any last words? We're going to wrap up here. So, Ringside, another successful Ringside Fest.
Another successful Ringside. I think I brought and showed more this year than any other year, which is unbelievable.
Not only did you bring and show more, I feel like you definitely raised the bar this year. So the talent you guys have is like unbelievable. So
we again, I just want to thank everyone for continuing to support the line. It's the same spiel I do every year. It's not an inexpensive hobby. We want to make sure that if you are supporting online, that we put out good product and that you're satisfied with what you buy. So again, thank you for everyone for continuing to buy the Mattel WWE line.